Hi, my name is Mark and I'm different. Everyone thinks I'm odd, or weird, or an outcast. I don't really associate with others. My classmates will tell you it's because I'm an outcast. My doctors will tell you it's because I have severe depression, OCD, and textbook narcissism. But what I'll tell you? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I have powers. The truth is, I can see through doors. They're like gateways. As I grew in age, my powers also grew. Those doors became one huge collective house, another dimension to me. But much like a personal house, this place that housed my powers adapted to something I really liked: Fortnite. Now, it wasn't so bad. Anytime I wanted to fit in, I could. You see, everyone plays Fortnite. The nerds, the jocks, the band kids, the in crowd, the cool kids. I used that to my advantage. I found out what each person liked because of overhearing their conversations, and then tried to befriend them. For some of those people, it worked, and I was no longer a loner but someone everyone knew. Don't get me wrong, I knew what the doctor said was true. I was narcissistic. I knew what I was doing, powers or not. It was still eavesdropping and using knowledge of them they didn't know about to befriend them. I would carry these people in Fortnite. I have all the skins, but my favorite skin? Cuddle Team Leader. I especially like to collect couple skins. When Cuddle Team Leader came out, I expected a male skin, but that never happened. Why not? I want it. I don't get it. You know it would make them a lot of money. I joined some popular kids game and I became their fourth. They asked me why I was wearing a pink teddy bear. I told them that it was a rare skin and I really wanted them to make a guy version of it anyway. These people, they weren't like the others who played this game. They liked playing it alright, but they didn't care about its culture. They were just negative people. They made fun of me over voice chat, and so I left. The following school day, everyone was laughing at me, and by lunchtime, I was all alone again. There was a rumor that was started. It was about me, how I dressed in pink and pretended to be a teddy bear. No doubt a stupid and twisted lie, and just an over-exaggeration of me being Cuddle Team Leader on a video game. I tried to tell my classmates that that's all it was me using Cuddle Team Leader, but because a popular kid named Tyler said something was true, it became truth. And at that moment I knew what I had to do. I had to get even. I had a new purpose for my powers, and Tyler, the one who started this, will pay. I took my time and decided that I would use the house and my powers to actually make a male version of the Cuddle Team Leader. I'll call him Red Team Leader. I'll gift the skin to Tyler and he'll use it. But what he doesn't know is the horrors that await him. I stay in this other dimension, this house, and I stay there until I sense Tyler's presence. As soon as he logs on, I know, and I bypass his invite-only lobby and joined. He gets mad that I joined and tries to kick me. He needs to know I'm not Mark anymore. I'm Red Team Leader. I tell him I'm sorry, and I tell him I gifted him a skin. I turn his character into Red Team Leader. He thought I left, but I just took over his character's body. With him thinking I left and the plan in motion, he stupidly starts up solos. I wait. He starts off pretty okay, gets 2 kills in Pleasant Park, and he already thinks he's cool because he thinks he has a male version of Cuddle Team Leader. As soon as he gets another kill, the footsteps he takes after leave blood imprints behind. The look on his face was great to see. He ends up camping away to the edge of each new circle until it's just him and one other person. The person out of nowhere rushes him with a heavy shotgun. He must have been low on ammo or a noob, because what happened next was pure luck for Tyler. But he'll soon realize it'll only amount to terror. The final shot that this enemy sends goes through my mask and through my head. I decide to make it look real. Tyler can see blood pouring down the back of my head, realizing an eye had been shot out. Tyler was so distracted by that he didn't see the enemy run at him with just a pickaxe. He hits me twice in the face, and I knew we would die and lose, so I took over. I showed him what I could do. I knocked this kid in solos and prevented the game from ending. Tyler was shocked that I could do that, and I took out an axe that was my back bling. I revealed to Tyler that those 2 pickaxe wounds had carved my face. He looked like he was shocked and horror, but he couldn't look away. I took the axe and I cut the enemy's head off. I don't know if it was too much for him, but after that he collapsed, and shortly after, paramedics showed up at his house. I saw all night on Facebook posts saying, "Rest in peace, Tyler." I didn't want to kill him, but he deserved it. I know I'll get caught, and I'm not going to jail for life. I need to go away for a while. I could put myself in the store and make someone buy Red Team Leader, but the public doesn't know I exist. I know what I'll do. I call myself Cuddle Team Leader, and I'll appear in the store for just 1 hour. The first person that buys me, I'll follow them and be with them. I don't need this physical body anymore. I'm more than this. I focus as hard as I can in this house, and I enter the world for everyone to see. I make the store update. It says Cuddle Team Leader, 1 hour. I let out a huge roar, and I find my first victim in this larger world.
Cuddle Team Leader appeared in the shop today. There wasn't any warning, and he was only available for 1 hour. That didn't make sense. Needless to say, I bought it. I collect all the legendary skins, and I had to take advantage of this. I bought the skin and immediately equipped it. I noticed the fur wasn't pink, but a blood red. I hear in my headset a roar like a bear would make in real life, and I didn't think anything of it and joined in a solos game. I'm in the lobby and I see that I have a new taunt already equipped, and it's called the chopping block. I wasn't able to use the taunt before it put me on the battle bus. I decided to land at Dusty Divot and start on the outside of the research lab that they have there. I pick up a common tactical and start shooting the 2 people who landed nearby me. Unfortunately, I was able to get a gun and they weren't. I noticed when I was in game and searching for a weapon, Cuddle Team Leader's skin was pink, just like how it was supposed to be. After I got those 2 kills, however, the skin got darker and darker. It was now a mix between pink and red. I managed to go inside the middle of the research lab in Dusty Divot, because that's where all the good people go, and usually that's where you can find better guns. I was able to find a weakened John Wick and took him out in 1 shot with my common tactical. I killed him from behind, a coward move I know, but it still works. I was able to pick up his green pump and he had 2 minis left over. I was decently set up for a win. I leave Dusty after not seeing any more enemies and make my way to Tilted Towers. I'm able to loot some buildings that other players missed and was able to add a blue pump and blue AR to my inventory. I start grinding for more materials, and as soon as I got close to 300 wood, I start to get shot at. I build a ramp and pick him off easily, and I see that my Cuddle Team Leader's skin grew darker with my new kill. The circle gets smaller until there are only about 15 people left. The circle seems like it's going to end near Haunted Hills, and I get a move on to meet the people in the circle. I go to the part in Tilted where the meteor hit and picked up one of the new hop rocks. Because of that, I was able to get closer to the circle than I would have just by walking. I make my way into the circle just as the storm was closing in. There were 9 people left, and at least half of them were already in gunfights as I could hear them fighting. I see a person who looked like a noob and I was able to pick him off. I looked up at the HUD and saw that 4 people remained, and I used this time to build up and make a fort for what looked like to be one of the final circles. I was in luck and the circle was placed near the side of Haunted Hills that I was building at. I see a person who was engaging another enemy and waited for him to kill the other person. As I scale my fort down to go kill him, to my surprise, the other person that was left was already on his way to challenge him. I thought this was perfect, and even though not action-packed, it would get me a W anyway. The challenger eliminates the guy I was going for. I take out my blue AR and I start spraying him. Since he was hurt from engaging the guy who I was going for, I built a ramp on top of him and jumped down with my blue pump. I hit him in the head and he goes down. He goes down on a solos game. He isn't eliminated. That's when my controller moves on its own. Cuddle Team Leader got right on top of him as he was crawling, and it went to my taunt screen. He selected chopping block. He takes out an axe like it was a mining tool, and then he does it. He cut the downed enemy's head off. When it said I was the winner, its fur turned to that blood red fur that I saw when I bought him, and he let out this giant roar. As the match was about to be completed, he took off the mask portion of the skin to reveal a character's head that had some damage to it. He only had one eye. The other eye was shot clean through by a bullet, and his smile had been forced because of slits on his face. I will update as time goes on, because this character shouldn't be in the game.
I emailed Epic Games about Red Team Leader. However, they never messaged me back. Red Team Leader, won't let me equip another skin. I could only use him. But there was an option to wear or not to wear the mask. I preferred to leave the mask on, since without it, he looked terrifying. Today I found out that I unlocked a new ability for Red Team Leader since I reached level 66. It was not 1, but 2 new taunts called Maniac and Shuriken. When I was in the lobby, I noticed that Red Team Leader wasn't pink at all anymore at the beginning. Before it took kills to get his skin to turn red, now it just was. In between this and the new taunts, I was curious as to what new horrors await me. I drop Shifty Shavs and I find nothing. I'm running all over the place trying to find a gun, but I can't find one. All of a sudden, a guy rushes me with a tactical and I think it's game over. But Red Team Leader does that chopping block taunt again. Only this time, he cuts the player in half with his axe. Not his head, his body. I pick up his tactical and I continue onward. The circle is placed more so to the right side of the map, so I make my way to Salty Springs. Inside Salty Springs, I start getting shot at by a Zoe. I was going to finish her off with my tactical, but Red Team Leader used one of its new taunts called Shuriken, and he takes out these knives. They're solid black with red down the middle, and throws them at the Zoe, killing her instantly. I was starting to get concerned because not only am I not able to use another skin, but now Red Team Leader can just kill whenever he wants? As soon as the Zoe died, Red Team Leader did something. He did something he's never done before. I noticed its hair had grown longer and sharper, like armor, and I noticed he was bleeding at his neck, the one place that you could see his skin.
At this point, I was done. I was just fed up. Epic Games never wrote me back, and I couldn't even use any other skins. I went to leave the match, but it wouldn't let me. I tried to turn my stuff off, but it stayed on, and Red Team Leader continued to play. But he was playing all alone. He didn't need me to control him with a controller. He was perfectly fine here. He makes it all the way until there are 3 people, counting himself. The circle is ending in Dusty Divot, and Red Team Leader gets pinned in between the 2 final solo players. I thought it was game over until he used it. He used the other taunt. Maniac. What I saw, I'll never forget. He takes out 2 small axes and he slowly walks over to one of them, taking bullet after bullet. He's able to get up into striking distance of the confused and no doubt scared player, and he slashes him in the face and in his back on the way down. At that point, I saw that he was bleeding even more around his neck. This time, to the final player, he runs. He runs after him. And while the player was reloading, Red Team Leader took one of the axes in his hand and he threw it at the player. It hit the player's face, right in between the eye. It said that Red Team Leader had won. He let out this fierce, spine-chilling roar. He takes off his mask again, and I see where all the blood was coming from. His jawbone is broken now, and his mouth is wide open. You can see all the bones and blood. He lets out another roar, causing his jawbone to sink lower. He points at me. He takes the axe and puts it to his throat, and then points back at me. My TV and my Fortnite all shut off. I will keep you all updated soon. I know Red Team Leader is coming.
It's just your imagination. Don't let it run wild. I know what I saw, and I know what Red Team Leader is capable of. I know he's coming for me. I called the police when everything shut off. The police, they didn't believe me. They said it was all in my head. They think I'm crazy. So they called paramedics, and I was sent to the hospital. More specifically, the mental floor of the hospital. They say I need to be under constant supervision until it's proven I'm not a threat to myself or others. The pills they have me on, I don't know if Red Team Leader is real or not anymore. I doubt everything. Lights out, the nurses tell us, every night at 8 p.m. It's been about 2 weeks since I've been here. The doctors tell me if I keep up at this pace, I can go home tomorrow. I'm nervous. On one hand, I want to go home because I'm not psycho. But on the other, I don't want to die. Once lights out hit, I have this same routine. I just stare out the window. I just think about, well, anything and everything. I think about the last 2 entries I've shared with you guys and what a video game character was doing to me. It's absurd. Red Team Leader isn't real. No sooner than when I thought that sentence, I see something. I see a shadow of what looks like a bear just outside the hospital. There was heat lightning all night, and with one bright burst of lightning, that shadow was gone. With the shadow gone, so was the power in the hospital. About 10 seconds later, the backup generators kicked in, and the lights were restored.
There he was, in my room, staring at me. It was so quiet and tense. All you could hear was his breathing and my own. I told myself this wasn't real. That's when Red Team Leader told me this was all indeed real. He read my thoughts. He slowly walks up to me, much like he did in the video game. And he says, "All of this is real." And he takes out a knife and he slits my face to match his. And he tells me, "Look on the bright side. Smile like you mean it." I'm in so much pain. I'm writhing in agony. "We look like twins. You'll do just fine," he says. He then proceeded to take his mask off. "See? I was just like you," he said. He told me he used to be a normal guy like me or you, and then when Cuddle Team Leader came out, he thought he got a glitched version named Red Team Leader. But before he knew it, he became Red Team Leader. He said being the Red Team Leader was a curse, but that it could be passed on to someone else. His breathing is heavy at this point, as if he's struggling to breathe. In an instant, his body disappears, just leaving the Red Team Leader's suit. I gather what strength I have and I walk to the nearest mirror and I look at myself. My face is scarred, just like how his was. I walk over to the suit and the mask. I look at the eyes of the Red Team Leader mask, and it calls to me. I let out a sigh of relief, finding my new purpose as the new Red Team Leader. I put the mask over my bloody face.
My turn.
I can't believe it. I'm the new Red Team Leader. I look to my left hand and something appears. It looks like a rift to go, only it isn't. I shake it just like you would a rift to go, and it teleports me. It teleports me into Fortnite. I can see everything. I can see all the players in the whole world, like the game is just one giant house, and each room is a doorway to a player's actual home. I feel a sense of bloodlust, something I haven't felt before. I knew it was because I was Red Team Leader. I find a few poor souls that look like easy targets, so I stalk them in their battle royale matches. The looks they give, I could see it. Pure terror. Their skins in the game ran from me, and then when they were destroyed by the chopping block, the people behind the game were petrified because they knew this shouldn't be in the game. Isn't it funny? I used to be like them. Now I control the fear. It's been like this for a few days now. Just join in matches and raise hell, destroy them and slaughter them. My powers aren't as vast as the old Red Team Leader. I can only do the chopping block, but I have just the plan to have some real fun. I think I'll take a page out of the old Red Team Leader's playbook. I think Cuddle Team Leader will appear in the shop for 1 hour. I feel so bad for the person who buys me. The person who bought me was a 16-year-old. He was so excited to get Cuddle Team Leader on a flash sale for 1 hour. But he'll soon discover he has Red Team Leader and I won't be so nice. He equips me and we start in a match. I let him control me for a few games until I discover that he is a new player. I take control, otherwise I can't have my fur turn red and I won't unlock any more abilities. To the player's surprise, he actually doesn't mind because he's getting victory royales and a boost in his KD. But what he doesn't realize is he'll have to pay for all of this dearly. It's a 1v1 situation and he's just too nervous. So naturally I take over again, and I do to him what was done to me so long ago. I cut off the player's head, and my fur is long, sharp, and dark red. I let out a roar, a loud roar, and I can see the player's face because of my abilities. He was dumbfounded, he was shocked, and he was petrified. And he was too late. He immediately went to try to refund me, but I wouldn't let that happen. I kept on denying the refund. He was screaming at his console. He was mad at this point. I decided to let him know who was in charge here. I start up the console. He shut down in anger. I started Fortnite for him, turned on his TV to volume 100, and proceeded to play, and shot randomly, just so he would hear. He storms into the room and tries to power down the console, and I'm not having any of that. What kind of supernatural being would I be if I let this happen? It's time to show him true fear. It's time for him to turn that anger back into terror. Just when he loses all hope and he tries to leave the room, I say, Hey you, the one who bought me. Yeah, you. I see you there, in your room. That's a nice poster on your wall. Mind if I come visit? His anger, as you can guess, turned into one of shock, but I need that shock to turn into pure horror. I come out of the TV and I tower over the poor teen. He's shaking so bad. That little anger he had turned into horror, just like I wanted. I stare at him with my mask on, and I just say, boo. He runs out of the room crying and yelling for his mommy. I go back inside the TV. A minute later, he brings his mom in the room, saying there was someone in there with him. When they look, all they see is me, in the game, just as red team leader, waiting to play. The mom didn't believe him, and he cried all night long. My first few victims, a few players down, many more millions to go. I can't wait to see who my next victim is. I'm more now as red team leader than I ever was as a normal person, but shouldn't red team leader have a more deeper existence than terrorizing random people? I mean, can't I use this newfound power for something bigger than myself? Who can I terrorize who actually deserves this? I return to the house that is in another world. I comb through millions of accounts. It seemed like time was slower in this world. And I see a name. I recognized the name. It was the name of a bully of mine from middle school. I wondered if it was the same person. I waited for him to log into his account and see his face to make sure. A few hours go by and the person gets on. It was him alright. I thought no better way to use these powers than to use them on someone who actually deserves it. We'll take this one slow. I waited until 7 p.m. and showed Cuddle Team Leader in the store. I made the price say $5. He was eager and he bought me. He's going to learn all about Red Team Leader, and I will have some revenge. I made a subtle change, something that's never happened before. I showed him Red Team Leader without him getting any kills. It was just a normal Cuddle Team Leader skin that was red in a male costume, but the eyes could stare into your soul. He thought he got super lucky and got a brand new skin. He's about to find out the horrors that await him. He's actually pretty good at the game. He usually plays solos and He seems to live alone. He'll get at least one win a play session. Normally I would make things happen by now, but I want him to feel safe using this. I want his cockiness to be his downfall. He plays for long hours at a time. He looks like he works somewhere in retail. He usually goes to bed around 8 a.m. and leaves for work around 2:30 in the afternoon. I know what you're thinking. Pretty boring. I have to stalk my prey. I have to know their routine. That's how you hunt the hunted. I was pretty confident in my observations of him, and it seemed like an easy target. After all, he lived alone, and no one would believe him. He didn't seem like he had many friends. I started. It was about 2 a.m. and he just got a victory, and he was doing an emote. I glitched out on purpose. He saw my face that was slit for just an instant, only to second guess himself and think that he's just tired. This is only the beginning. When we dropped in the next match, he landed and killed someone. I made the character's footprints leave behind bloody imprints on the ground. The guy is looking at a screen in shock, as if something like this was even possible. He's playing a game of solos, no doubt about to win the game, and I stop. I make him freeze up and lose the game. I turn to him and show him my face. He looks angry and terrified all in one moment, and he just stares as if he doesn't know what to do next. He quickly tries to use his one of 3 lifetime requests and refund me, but that didn't work. You couldn't get rid of me so easily. Every time he closes his eyes, I'm there. After he falls asleep, I'm in his very dreams. He's haunted by my very existence. And I feel like Red Team Leader has a meaning now. It's been 7 whole days since he's fallen asleep. He looks so tired, so paranoid. He's slumped up on the couch, bags over his eyes. Breathing is so shallow. His eyes are dry and he has a look of regret on him. He knows I'm right next to him. He knows I'm not in the TV anymore, but rather right next to him. He knows this is no couch anymore, but his deathbed. And he knows I'm not a skin, but I'm the Grim Reaper. I show him a vision when he tries to fall asleep. It was me, cutting his head off. He awoke and started gasping for air, as if he was a fish out of water, gagging, reeling in pain. He collapsed. He died. I laughed, and I couldn't believe the power I had. My next victim? He'll be taken alive, though. I guess there was something that was never said about Red Team Leader. It gives you so much power, but over the time using it, the victims that I've created, it was so much fun. But lately I've felt my mind turn to mush. My body in the physical world is decaying. No, time has not sped up my age or anything simple like that. My organs seem to be failing, as if my body is not capable of hosting such an extreme power. The price that I pay for Red Team Leader's powers is certain death. I tried to refund it, I tried. It won't let me. And much like when the item shop is about to update, there's a countdown. There is an actual countdown on Red Team Leader's skin, and I assumed it would be the end of me. Red Team Leader isn't me or the person before me, it's its own thing, and much like a snake, it needs to shed its skin. I never had power at all, it just made me think that, but why not terrorize one more time before the end of me? I go to the house once more. It looks rusted and worn out, almost as if it was about to collapse, no doubt a sign of my weakening powers and my weakening physical body. It was odd. When I moved, I could feel my physical body ache and pain, as if my physical body was dying so that this virtual one could live. I found someone. He looked like the sort that could help me. He streamed on Twitch a lot. He had a lot of views. I figure if I'm going to die, I want the whole world to know what Red Team Leader is. I don't have much time left. I let him think that just because he reached 10,000 followers on Twitch that Epic Games wanted to give him something. A rare skin. Just in time for Halloween called Red Team Leader. He was so excited he showed his followers. His views even went up. He has no idea though, the higher the climb, the more dangerous the fall. I decided that since it was Halloween, I didn't just have to wait to show its true colors. Fortnite has been releasing all sorts of skins for Halloween. Why would this one not be believable? I only have time for one game. I feel my body shut down. He lands tilted in solos. I make it to where he cannot die, and I show him the chopping block instantly. He freaks out. The stream freaks out. But they haven't seen anything yet. 2 people rush him, and instead of building, I make him throw shurikens. The shurikens destroy them. Once again, he and the stream freaked out. Nothing major happened, and he found himself to be the last 3 alive. Everyone could see Red Team Leader's fur, how each point had a drop of blood, how the ears were bitten, how the eyes were drained and had blood running down them. This was truly a sight to behold. One rushes him. I take control. I strangle him. I made the streamer feel it. I made him feel what I was doing. He freaked out, like he knew. The final guy rushes him. I take out the axe and, just for old time's sake, you know what I did. He was speechless. The stream was speechless. It was trending on Twitter, and I knew over 1,000 people saw this live. Just like that, the house falls and I awaken my physical body that I've not used in a while. It feels heavy. My organs feel like stones and my vision is blurry. Everything stops. Like that, I'm gone. I awake and I see Red Team Leader, but he isn't a costume or anything. This is his true form. He was a spirit. He looked like the darkest form of his costume. He goes through walls and he hovers ever so slowly to me. And he says,
Find Chris. Hello there. I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm also sorry to the 2 others who weren't fit to be me, Red Team Leader. But to my last victim in particular, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you weren't as strong as you thought you were. I'm sorry you weren't even worth me remembering your name. But at least at the end, you knew. You knew your powers were borrowed from me. You never had any power. But at least I told you to find Chris, my cousin. He's the only one who can visit the house other than myself, and the only person who could stop me. Maybe your soul could indeed be saved, but to the next victim, your soul is mine. Your soul is mine, but not to keep. I want your body. I want to come back to this physical realm, to walk among the living again, to be human. I hate you, cousin. I hate you so much. You you shouldn't be solving these cases. The Followed case, the AFK case. You should be dead. My parents, as well as Chris's parents, they are worthless. But our mutual grandfather, on our father's side, he trained us. He saw power in us. You might know my grandfather. You might have seen him in stories, in documentaries. He said he was possessed by a demon. Our parents never knew that Chris and I could see him, most likely because he was a ghost and had been dead for years. Our parents didn't inherit the powers. Chris, as we grew up, rejected this evil side, decided to use his powers for good. I, however, used the training and powers for more, and I eventually used them to take Tyler's life. But it's time to kill the past. I'm better than my grandfather ever was, and I am better than Chris. My next victim will give me his body, and I will steal it to finally return to the physical realm and kill my only rival. Kill Chris. I set the trap to lure Chris out. Now I just need a new victim, and I need one soon. My next victim will be hand-picked to make sure he is of great physical strength, so I can strangle my only cousin and end this once and for all.
My name is Owen. I have been alone all my life, bounced between foster homes. I never was adopted, and I was released by the state when I turned 18. It's been a hard life, but I was able to build what my worthless parents and foster parents couldn't. A home. My home was just myself, but I took this blank place and I turned it into something, complete with furniture, a bed, and things to cook. Like I said, this wasn't much, but it means the world to me. I was finally able to save up enough money and get internet. I was able to reconnect with my foster brothers by playing Fortnite. They were a little younger than me, and they actually got adopted, and they're still living with their new moms and dads. I'm not sad that I had to do all of this on my own. At least something good came out of it. At least they got something out of it. But I've always desired more, which is why today is so different. I see on Fortnite that there is a legendary skin called Red Team Leader. No, not Cuddle Team Leader, not Panda Team Leader, but Red Team Leader. Two more things that make this case curious is that it's free for me, and for everyone else on the game, according to my foster brothers, they don't even see it. I'm the only one who sees it, and I'm the only one who can buy it. As if the universe knows I'm owed something. The description of Red Team Leader even spoke to me. It read, "Be more. Be you. Paint everyone red." I mean, I wasn't going to pass this up. It was free after all. Since I'm out here on my own, saving $20 like this was a huge deal. From the moment I hit buy for 0 V-Bucks, I felt a sense of coldness, as if eyes were watching me. You know, when you grow up as I did, you always would feel alone, but when I bought this skin, as stupid as it sounds, I felt a presence in this apartment, as if this was a guardian angel in a way. That's when I saw it, or rather, when he reveals himself, in my room was a ghost. He was the red team leader. What he tells me is shocking, almost as if he handpicked me for this. He tells me,
So, we finally meet face to face, Owen. I used to be human like you, but I became more. And you can too. You see, I have a use for you. I can promise you, you will not be alone anymore if you just help me do one small thing.
I ask him what that small thing is. He tells me he will give me power and the life I have always dreamed of if I help kill his cousin, Chris. He tells me I have a lot of training to undergo, but that he did indeed hand select me out of millions to be the person for this job. I guess this ghost, this red team leader, chose the right person, because if he gives me power, I will do whatever he asks in exchange for the life I want. Chris, we're coming for you. A story. A man gets infected and becomes a demon known as Red Team Leader. He spends countless hours and days finding the perfect new victims, but now he needed his victims more than just a quick jab for his satisfaction. He needed an apprentice, someone to stand with him just in case he loses it all, in case he loses to his cousin Chris. He knows the final fight is coming and he needs to train his new apprentice, the second Red Team Leader, Owen, and train him fast.
Part 1. Infiltrating.
Mark, the original and first Red Team Leader, was going to show him how to destroy a soul today.
It's time I show you the house.
Mark shows and teaches Owen how to meditate and to enter the house.
Do not worry, Chris is not here.
Mark teaches Owen how to appear in the item shop. They wait for a few moments and someone buys Owen's version of Red Team Leader.
Time for part 2. This is where the fun begins.
Mark teaches him the art of being Red Team Leader, how you are supposed to slowly reveal the sinister things you do. It also appeared Owen did not possess the chopping block or any of Mark's Red Team Leader abilities. He had his own unique ones. His taunts were called the gallows and knife throw. Mark told him not to allow any enemies to kill him. The kid who bought Red Team Leader was excited, as they all were, that they couldn't die.
Show him, Owen. Show him the gallows.
Owen used the gallows on the guy who was shooting at him. It made the kid who bought Red Team Leader feel sick to his stomach. He had a noose and Red Team Leader hung the player. The poor kid who bought the skin, he tried to turn off his console, but Mark and Owen weren't having any part of that. They make the poor kid suffer through the entire match. He's whimpering at this point, he even cries.
The final part, my apprentice. Win the match and make him regret ever buying you.
Owen runs straight at the final player, ignoring the crying kid trying to control him. He uses knife throw. It cuts the player into bits. The blood slowly pours out of him. This kid wants to stop watching the TV, but he can't. Owen uses the gallows and hangs the player slowly. The kid watches in terror as he slowly wins his first game of Fortnite. The kid then runs out of his room screaming bloody murder once the dark deed was done.
You're ready, Owen. Together we are finally ready to rid the world of a greater evil. Cousin, here we come.
It's time. It's the end. There have been many victims, but it all ends here. Owen and Mark, the original Red Team Leader, have a job to do. Mark trained Owen on how to be Red Team Leader, to help him destroy Chris, Mark's cousin. But Owen doesn't realize Mark will take his body in the real world to walk among us yet again. Chris is on his way for the final showdown, but Chris is conflicted. and he cannot kill his cousin even if he has become the vile Red Team leader. He was once just his cousin, Mark. Red Team leader can see everything. The only thing Red Team leader cannot see is Chris, and that's because they have equal power. Chris has a plan though. Chris links up to Owen mentally and tells him to meet him at the house. Red Team leader is away terrorizing, so it should be safe. There, Chris meets Owen face to face. Owen rushes Chris and tries to kill him with his new powers, but he finds he is no match for Chris. Chris tells Owen Red Team leader will give you power and you will achieve power quickly. However, if he chooses the route that Chris chose, he'll have to work for that power, but you can achieve something greater than Red Team leader. Chris tells Owen that if Owen kills Mark, he can join his squad and he and them can solve cases for the greater good, or he can die alongside Mark. The choice was his and his alone. Chris gives Owen a knife. It was made of a special material. He told Owen that this same knife was what they used to steal his grandfather so long ago, so it would surely kill Red Team leader. Chris leaves the house and he joins his squad as they prepare for war with Red Team leader. Owen thinks about what Chris told him. He knows the weaknesses of Red Team leader well. He cannot be killed in the game or anything like that, but in this house, he sure can. What will Owen do? What will the apprentice of Red Team leader do? Mark comes into the house and he notices that his apprentice is acting odd. He's conflicted. He thinks Owen is only loyal to him, and he brushes it off. Mark tells Owen to stay alert. It won't be long before Chris comes. No sooner than when he says that, Chris shows up. "Hello, cousin," Chris says to Mark. Mark just looks at him with a blank expression. Mark asks Chris what happened to his team of followers, that a 2 versus 1 isn't going to be fair. Owen interrupts and says to Mark, "Yes, you're right, a 2 versus 1 isn't fair," and Owen stabs Mark in the stomach. Mark tries to evade, but Chris teleports behind him and holds him down. The blade goes deeper and deeper into Red Team leader. As Red Team leader starts to fade, he says, "I was different. I wasn't evil, but I guess I lost that in the end." Mark's human face showed and he said to Chris, "Thank you for avenging me." His body disappeared in a flash. Behind that flash, you could see drops of water in the air. Chris was crying. Owen gives the knife to Chris. Chris places it in a back pocket. He wipes the tears from his eyes and places an open palm to Owen's face. Chris tells Owen he's sorry and that this would hurt a lot. He pulls a demonic bean out from Owen's mouth and he takes the knife back out and slashes the second Red Team leader's spirit in half. Like Mark, that spirit also vanished. "It's done," Chris said to Owen. "There's no more evil. You still keep Red Team leader's powers, but now you use them for good." Chris makes a fireball with his hand and he throws it at the house, setting the house on fire to destroy everything once and for all. He uses his other hand and opens a portal and tells Owen to step through. There he sees Jay and the others waiting for him with open arms. Chris tells Owen they have a lot to do to right the wrongs of Red Team leader, but they'll get there, one step at a time.